down to it, an activity that students will, or kids will take part in almost every day, except for the summer, is going to school, right? And since that is the case, being able to walk every day, right, is you know, from maybe sort of a from a pediatric point of view, that's the best way to get physical activity. And I also think that it fits in with public health advocates right now talking about the idea of dealing with the obesity epidemic is getting daily physical activity in a routine type of way rather than some of the things that many of us have arrived on, which is you join a gym and you go ride the bicycle, or you go run at the track, or you run through the neighborhood. And it's hard enough for us as an adults to do that, but to get kids to do something like that is even more difficult. You know, of course, there's sports and there's physical education and things like that, but those are often not activities that could occur on a daily basis, whereas walking to school could. Choosing a site by a school district choosing a site to build a new school can be either very complicated or it can be very simple. I mean, I think in some cases, communities or school systems will build on a new site because as a developer is developing a new subdivision or a new neighborhood, the developer sets aside a piece of land and then donates that piece of land to the school system for the site of the new school. And land costs are a big, you know, can often be a big portion of what a new school will cost. And to have that removed from the calculation, I think, you know, is something that's hard to pass up. So the place, the siting of that piece of property is often left to the developer and not to, you know, to the school district. On the flip side, when that piece of land is not going to be donated by a developer, the calculation can be very complicated. It can be what's the cost per acre, right? Where is the school system anticipating growth occurring? What other infrastructure is around and available? What are some of the needs as far as athletic fields, or what are those needs? And what we're hoping from this discussion that we're having today is that the answers to some of those challenges are derived from a more comprehensive conversation, which includes the community planners, includes the neighborhood association, includes the transportation folks, includes, you know, so that, you know, if we're talking about athletic fields, is there a way to have a conversation about providing the athletic fields as part of, you know, a municipal park rather than just sited on the school site? And if that conversation occurs, then maybe the site can be smaller. If the consideration of the transportation costs, one of the gentlemen from one of the neighboring counties here mentioned that, you know, the fact that some of the school buses around here, or probably in many communities, get 6 or 7 miles to the gallon times $3 a gallon times the 30,000 or however many thousands of miles they travel every day. If that calculation could be part of the school siting decision, then maybe a smaller site will work, or a site that previously was not considered would be part of the conversation. And that's what we're asking for now, is to broaden the conversation. Folks who are interested in creating safer routes to schools should not just be thinking about the $120 million that comes out of the Department of Transportation every year to support the Safe Routes to School program. Instead, they should be thinking about every dollar that is being spent on school facilities nationwide as a way to influence where that spending is put in the geography across the land, and that allows for this idea of safe routes to school, the idea of kids being able to walk and bike to school being part of the calculation for where that money is spent. Not every dollar of the $30 billion every year is going to be spent on a new school site, but the ones that are, you know, if the calculation of how, you know, allowing kids to walk and bike is brought into the conversation before that, or at that time that the money is being spent, there's more likely there's a better chance of kids being able to walk and bike if that's part of the conversation. I important to get parents involved in whether it's the school siting decision, the idea of walking and biking to school. And I think that things like the walking school bus, get parents out in a way that allows them to get to know their neighbors better, the other parents better, out on the walking routes. They come to a recognition that in many respects the safety concerns of walking and biking to school may not be as strong. I think the other side of this is that for those of us who are interested in increasing walking and biking, it's important to get organizations like the PTAs involved, and we've begun to do that. I think that one of our grantees, the National Trust for Historic Preservation, that is working on state-level policies that can support community-centered schools, they've been reaching out to the national PTA and as well as local PTA members to get them involved in coming up with solutions for the lack of walking and biking. And I think that's important. And then, then the other thing is to get other organizations that typically have parent involvement from the National School Board Associations. Right? When it comes down to it, many members of school systems, school boards are parents. And getting them involved from not only the professional school board sort of perspective, but getting them involved as parents. So.